Can I have a blueberry?
That's too far away.
Well, you could reach.
Oh, okay.
You want to try to reach?
What?
Did you tell them about the
I can't
biplane?
reach that far.
The who?
The first time you flew in a plane?
Thank you.
I didn't.
The first time you flew in a plane?
Yum yum.
Oh, the stick?
Mm. Yeah, I asked Granddaddy about that.
Tell me.
We flew to,
It's yummy.
we flew to Palm Springs to a road race, which is probably, what, 200 miles, I guess. But coming back at night, we flew over LA, and it was, you know, you can imagine, this was been 1956 or 7. But,
All right, but describe the plane, though.
huh?
Describe the plane.
Well,
You sat in the front?
I
he
sat in the front, he sat in the back with a stick.
Biplane?
No,
Just
no,
regular?
regular.
Was it closed in?
Huh?
Was it closed in?
I can't remember. I don't think it was, Chelsea, but I can't remember. I don't think it was.
Did you give you goggles or anything?
Maybe I had a windshield.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect the windshield, but still, with it. Wouldn't have flown very high.
Now,
Wouldn't
Tim,
have been able to see.
I don't know. I mean, I hope it, well, it doesn't matter now, does it? But we flew to, he later he got a 4-seater.
Ooh.
And we flew to San Francisco, well, not up there by there, to a basketball game. And coming back, you know, California gets foggy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was foggy, and you couldn't see anything on the ground. And we went by, it's about 60 miles from home. They had a power plant, the stack,
Yeah.
and you could see just the stack. So we knew we were getting close, and we landed, and it was getting foggy. But, you know,
Wow.
those things, once you get up, you're coming down, one way or the other.
Yeah.
Where you going?
Do you step over?
Where you going?
I did.
Hey,
And when we flew
I see you.
from
I see you.
Fort Ord in California to Fort Benning, we stopped in right at the edge of California, and the stewardess served us lunch.
I see
He
you.
handed out a paper bag with a sandwich and an apple in it.
Yeah.
That
I
was it.
see you.
I'm a children kid.
No.
So
What you know talking
That's
about?
more food than you get nowadays. That's more food than you get nowadays.
Well, for a while
Yeah.
for a while you were doing pretty good. You know, we went. They were giving you one time.
Step over.
It was a pretty good meal. But
Yeah.
yeah, the last time, give you a bag of peanuts if you're lucky.
Yeah. Mac pizza, peanuts, and a little
Georgia
sandwich.
peanuts on Delta.
Oh wow. I didn't know that.
What is that?
More blueberries?
yeah.
You like blueberries?
Is it good?
It's supposed to be good for you.
Are you a silly girl? Are you silly?
All right, so the courting, my mom, what was the balloon thing at the beach? You know,
Oh, do what now?
then wasn't there a balloon incident at the beach?
Yeah, we bought a weather balloon. We were gonna blow it up at the beach just when I was before I was married. I didn't know her then. Yeah, I did.
Your army buddies.
Yeah. And Terry Holmes' mother brought a vacuum cleaner, and we reversed it to blow it up. It got up about this high and popped.
But just down on the beach? I mean,
Yeah. They had then they had concession stands about, well, there was just two of them in the main concession stand. And she worked in one of them.
and you'd go down there and sleep at the park.
Yeah,
On the picnic table?
on the picnic table.
Didn't even bring a tent.
Huh?
Didn't even bring a tent.
A tent?
Yeah.
No, I sleep on those concrete benches.
Why?
I think Aunt Gail did that to keep from the snakes.
Well, this one guy from New York, of course, he didn't, he had never been anywhere. And he went with me one time, and it was, hot in the summer, and, and I was out there on that picnic bench. He was in the car, the windows rolled up, afraid something was going to get him.
Oh, no.
My foot.
He, your grandmama brought 10 or 12 girls. They had Georgia Auburn played football in Auburn, and they were going, and she brought about, I don't know, 8 or 10 of them anyhow. So I got that many soldiers that go up there, and he came up, and then years later we had an Army reunion in Colorado, and then we were going to have one in Pine Mountain the next year. And he told his wife, he said, that house is haunted.
This is the guy from New York.
Yeah, Bucci.
Good morning,
It's
gang.
haunted.
Hey,
Careful with the wire.
when we were trying to get up the reunion, and we
There's the
were
coffee, right?
looking for phone numbers, and I called the number that we had for him, and this woman answered. No, I don't know him, but anyhow, I kept
So you're right.
making calls and figured that she knew him, but she wouldn't tell me anything about it. So finally, I just give her my number, and I said, if you happen to run into him, tell him, he called me within a couple hours. He said, you gotta remember, he said, folks up here will come and get you if they know where you're at.
That's okay.
It's
Don't worry.
Whoops.
I'm eating all the grapes, y'all.
That's all. No, not all of it. I see.
So where all did you work? You worked with gas company in California somewhere? And gas company in Georgia?
No,
No?
no. Yeah, I worked when well, of course, you start out on a crew laying pipeline, but then I got inside, and that's where I was working when we married. And then I got promoted, and I was out working on appliances and stuff for about a month until Ibby cried and came home.
Good for her.
Wait, what did you do when you first came back to Georgia?
Grocery, that's all I
Oh,
did.
okay.
Until later, and then I worked at the post office after we closed the store for just on weekends.
Did Pop have the store?
Yeah, he had the store. And then,
So who had it, he and who had it before?
well,
It was Phillips and Douthit first.
your granddaddy Pop had the store to start with. I mean, he bought it from somebody in Pine Mountain, and he had the store. And Ibby's grandmother and grandfather moved in with the Douthits, and so he wanted part of the store. The Douthit, her great grandfather, I guess. Yeah, no, anyhow. And so he had it, and then he died, and y'all don't remember well, she was dead then.
No.
Miss Douthit was her grandmother, and she had the store, and when the Douthit died, their son, her uncle, was living in Seal, Alabama. You know where Seal is? And he was an insurance salesman, and they brought him up there to be with his mother, so he worked in the store too. But then when I got there, he saw the handwriting on the wall, and he went to work at Callaway then. And he worked at Callaway from then on. And then I bought
Which uncle?
huh?
Which?
Bill. I bought Ms. Doupet's part, and then when Pop retired, Steve and I got half and half in.
How come you closed it?
It was just, the Super Value come to town, it's a modern and people that go there and buy their groceries, but then when they needed a quart of milk delivered at 9 o'clock in the morning, they'd call us, of course, we delivered and charged.
Yes.
Supposed to be to the end of the month, but I guess they were charged until the end of the month.
And oh.
Hello.
Nice one.
Hello.
I think so.
Pop worked at,
Hey.
he was down here somewhere during the war?
He was at Valdosta.
Okay.
But he was an engineer, he worked all over. He worked for Tennessee Valley when they were starting all that.
Okay.
And he told me one time that they would only appropriate money for 6 weeks. And he'd have a job for 6 weeks and then they'd have to wait until they appropriated more money. So he worked for the highway department over in somewhere in Georgia. He worked at the state park.
I knew the state park and I knew, I guess, Valdosta.
Well, Valdosta, I don't know if he wasn't in the Army because he couldn't, physically, he was colorblind.
Okay.
And I
But I
guess
thought
he
he
was a
worked
federal employee, but not
okay.
enlisted.
Because I had in my head that he worked on an airfield somewhere.
I don't know what he did down there.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
But if somebody talked to him about measuring, man, we were out there with the sticks. And, he
Yeah.
he did our front yard when we moved out there. I said something one day about I had to do something, and we had to get out there and we drove stakes every so often and hold that post, and then he'd draw it off.
He was concerned when I was in college, he was concerned that people didn't know how to use slide rules anymore.
Yeah.
His calculators were just coming out, programmable calculators were just coming out, and nobody was using anything.
When they integrated in Harris County, he was chairman of the school board. And, it wasn't a very popular subject.
I think I gave y'all the little book that
The
had
little book,
somebody wrote about Harris County or whatever, had a section about integration.
he ran it, his business was he charged groceries. And he cast the deciding vote to integrate. He lost business.
A lot of kids went to private
A lot of
schools.
kids went to private school. I never will forget, you didn't know Jack Taylor. Jack Taylor was a pharmacist in town, and Walter was, you might have known Walter.
I vaguely.
Well, Walter was just a baby, and he had an older sister that was probably, a year or two older. But Jack, I never will forget, I was at the post office one day, and he come in, he said, "Jim, we're having a meeting tomorrow night or something. They wanted to start a private school in Pine Mountain, out where the ballpark is." And he says, everybody's gonna be there once you come on. And I said, "Jack, I can't do that, I said, I can't afford it to start with." And I said, "If it comes to that, I'll go back to California, where I know." And they never could get it started. But they started the one in Woodbury.
Well, where is Flint River Academy?
It's Woodbury,
Is that Woodbury?
Yeah.
Okay.
and it's still going. But yeah, they ran buses over to Pine Mountain and other places too. I guess they.
Are you singing? Are you singing? that good?
Is that good?
So what did Pop Ted do? I know he was driving trucks at one point when we were, one of the times we were
Well,
out there.
of course,
What,
you know, he's like me, he didn't have any education, you know. So when him and Mama got married, he was just sharecropping. But
in Oklahoma.
in Oklahoma, Oweta, her dad had a good bit of land around there. And he had 80 acres over where I was born, or where we lived when I was born. And Daddy was sharecropping there. And then he went to San Francisco and worked in the shipyard on the Liberty ship.
Was that during the war, or was he there before the war?
No. My grandmother on my mother's side died in 1941 on my birthday. And one time I was talking to him about when he went to California, and anyhow I said, well, she died. He said, well, I went to the funeral. I thought, sure, you know, I was. So he went. I've got a school picture of me in the second grade in 1942 in San Francisco. So we were there in 42. And then in about 40, after the war, of course, I guess they didn't need those ships that much anymore. And that's when he went to Guadalupe, which was Santa Maria. And he worked what they called a ranch, but lettuce and tomatoes and broccoli, and grew all that. And then he drove a truck for John Deere, Caterpillar.
Is that you eating?
But you know that video that you she's in it.
Yeah,
Her and Eric. You were.
it's on YouTube. Well,
This would have been 98, so you would have been what?
I see you.
6 years. One or six, which are 4 or
Yeah.
6.
Oh, I still do math like a 6-year-old, so. I remember that, yeah. 'Cause did me and Eric go? Did we just go one time together?
Well, I don't remember, because we tried to take 2 of you every time. And everyone went except Jim.
Even Zach and Scott?
Huh?
Zach and Scott went?
I didn't hear.
Zach and Scott went?
Scott and Zach went, yeah.
Oh, wow.
But that was after he died. That was probably when they had that rainwater reunion in Ardmore, and we went to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a trip with Zach, and we got out just outside of Montgomery and coming back, and they were raising cane. I just pulled over the side of the road, and 2 boys got religion real fast.
we would go every Christmas. It was like, if I remember right, that have Christmas, the tree goes out in the front yard, and we get in the car and
Go to California.
Go to California.
Yeah. It wasn't every Christmas. The first Christmas we spent married. No, the second Christmas, no? Yeah, the second. Anyhow, we started out, like you say, Christmas Day, and Steve went with us. Steve was just a baby, and got out, and it wasn't, freeways were just beginning to come in, but we were around Palm Springs, and the car broke down, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was standing on the side of the road, and a Greyhound bus picked me up and took me to an all-night garage. And Steve and Ted and your mama were on the side of the road in L.A.
She's trying so bad to get y'all's attention.
How old was Steve?
Now, he was
Like,
73 just the other day.
But what's the age? Like,
He was probably 10 or 12.
okay.
Trying to get James's attention.
Ooh, good. Ooh, good.
We've had that, map of Stuckey's.
Yeah.
Everybody, was the one in,
Two,
just in Alabama, not very far, or?
There's one over around Lynette. That we stopped at one in Tucumcari, New Mexico. I don't remember Miss Mary asked you.
Yeah.
Her brother ran one in Tucumcari, and we stopped there one time, and he gave us a candy log.
Candy log.
Yeah, whatever the,
Peanut
Candy.
log.
Peanut,
something,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
we all piled in the car one year going to California. We got, Gail was, and Greg were, I don't know, big enough to know a little something, I guess. We got to Lynette, Alabama. You know, that's what, 30 miles from home.
Okay.
Gail says, Daddy, how much farther?
3 days.
Yeah, how long did it take to drive to California? How long did it take to drive to California?
Well, back then we were driving. We'd drive the first night and stop the second night, so it, what, day and a half, 2 days.
Oh my gosh. Did you drive the whole time? You drove?
She did.
Oh.
3 counts.
We stopped one year in a place in Arizona to get a motel and you know, all of us, and your mama told the guy, says, well, we don't need, but we've got sleeping bags for the kids, so you can't use sleeping bags here. She said, why? I said, scorpions. And she said, if you got scorpions, I don't want to stay either.
What's so funny?
She's messing with James.
I taught her the 3 important sounds of drinking. The slurping, the gulping, and the ah.
Taught her how to slurp.
Good.
Everyone will be very excited.
Good.
Yeah.
Next time we come, you're gonna come down a week ahead, and we're not gonna see you till you.
Give you the acclimation time before
Yeah.
we get here.
Are you singing or
All right,
what?
so
I don't know how to.
I don't know what time it is.
Okay, come this way. Be careful. There you go. It is 7:30 here.
7:30 here, so we have 2.5 hours before we gotta get.
And you're gonna fly to Atlanta and then switch it to Atlanta?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick layover in Atlanta.
Do you have to wait long in Atlanta?
That's like 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's like 45 minutes
Just
from
enough time.
touchdown. Yeah, just enough time to get off the first plane, go to the gate, and then I think when we were coming here, we waited like a few minutes at most
Yeah,
before we boarded the second plane.
We got to the gate, Victoria went to the bathroom room. She got back from the bathroom was the moment they called our section.
Of
Yeah.
course, you don't have to go through security again.
Yeah, exactly.
We both got the pre-check thing.
Oh, yeah.
I see you.
Move that wire before somebody trips.
Oh,
Oh, she got herself.
oh.
I guess the last time we flew to California, just the 2 of us, we went out, you know, the same bags coming back, we got stopped coming in LA. Because my shaving, I had the big can, and you know,
Yeah.
and they, you know, called security, you know, instead of just throwing it in the thing, you know, they called security. And I said, look, you know, I'm taking exactly the same stuff back that I've got in it. I said, what's the problem? He said, what airport? Where did you fly from? And I said, Atlanta. He said, we're a better airport than they are. That's all he said.
Wow.
They stopped her one time, because on her driver's license it had Mary Isbell or something, and then on the ticket we had Mary Phillips Edgar. And, you know, took 15 minutes to explain that. Just because of the name.
I was going through security one time, but the day before had gone to the gun range with my dad, and they pulled me aside for just the totally random pluck you out of the line for the swapping down your hands. So he swaps down my hands, and then he puts it in the machine, and then it like starts beeping, flashing red, and he looks at the machine and looks at me and says, "Sir, do you have gunpowder on your hands?" And I said, "Probably." And he said, "Okay, have a nice day."
Yeah, it's amazing what the white complexion and blonde hair can do for you.
For some reason, they weren't worried about me.
Well, when we went to Paris or Europe or whatever you want to, went to Paris basically with Ted and Sherry and their family, and that was when Ivy was knitting a lot, and so before we left, she checked to make sure she could take her knitting needles, and no problem. So in Paris, we going through the thing to come back, and Jim, well, a little bit bigger than that, but anyhow, they had bought like a wooden sword, just like that, and they stopped him and was questioning everything, and Sherry, how Sherry is. She said, "Well, what's the matter?" I said, "She's got knitting needles." So she lost her knitting needles.
The story I tell on her is the stop going into California.
Oh yeah, God.
Looking for fruit. They wouldn't let you take fruit
Oh,
into
yeah.
California. And so we had to pull over and eat the fruit because she wasn't going to throw it away.
We could see the thing too. There's a yeah. You have 4 kids. I remember that. But I can remember going through there on the bus where you had to take your suitcases out. Of course, that would have been during the war. You could take your suitcase and put it on the table, and they'd go through it.
Just to go into
Early
California?
TSA.
Well, this was in the war.
But to go into California?
Yeah. And then
Why?
this was when
Yes,
we had
they
they do
were
the fruit.
strict.
That was, he was big enough.
West Coast, they
So-
at least thought that they could get attacked.
Yeah.
Uh,
My best friend, well, I did not in high school. But we went to the Army together and everything. He spent 3 or 4 years in internment camp in his family, and probably everybody I went to school with that was Oriental, because we didn't have any blacks, but we had a lot of Chinese and Japanese. He never did talk about it, never did think to ask him about it, but
What are you doing?
I can remember going,
What's
when
silly
we
girl
lived in
doing?
San Francisco, we'd go out to the
Can't do it
beach,
too
and
much.
talk about
It's
the thinking they were
really
gonna be
good.
attacked. There'd be the
Sometimes it's
sand, and then
perfect. And that's when-
between like the sand and where you start up, where you put your thing when you're, they had like, to me, it was brush piled along, I don't know what it was. And the story was they had emplacements and everything along in there in case something happened.
Is that good?
So Pop Ted worked on those ships. So girls, if you go to San Francisco, there's one of those ships anchored out there. It's a museum, basically.
There used to be 3 or 4 over here, where you cross the bridge,
Ah,
they were there, and I think they'd take them out and sink them for reefs.
but you've seen, I don't know if there's a thing on, not a plaque, but a thing on the wall in the computer room at their
Got a
house.
picture.
Oh, yeah.
It has what was it, 10 ships he worked on, or had a sticker for, I can't think I counted 10, but
It
maybe
was
not.
sticker for every 4 months, I think.
Oh, it was months.
Yeah,
not
so many
ships.
months. Because I tried to figure out, when we went and everything. He was from Madill, Oklahoma, San Francisco. So he went over there with him. This is just a day or two after he got there. And they were walking on the street in San Francisco. Now you can imagine, he probably saw more people in an hour than he'd seen in his life. And somebody said something, and he said, well, there goes Jessie, I forgot what her name is. Right now, he saw a woman that he knew.
Oh my gosh.
And
Wow.
is that thing running?
It is now. It's running here and there. I think we.
Really? Wait, you're recording? You didn't tell us.
I thought setting up and pointing at you would be
I didn't
a
know
clue.
you could record video.
Well, you need to, he needs to give you that side where it's on YouTube where Daddy's talking about when I'm talking about it. He talks a little bit about that.
Tracy's getting antsy.
Big old blue.
Tracy's getting frustrated.
About his dad. You knew his dad got kicked in the head with by a horse.
I heard that story, yeah.
And went on to do other things, right?
Didn't die, is that what you meant?
I think he had a
Other stories.
colorful history, right? Because of that.
Well, it wasn't because of that.
Could have been.
No.
He had a brain injury,
I don't
right?
think so. I don't think it had anything to do with it.
Wow.
He liked to fight.
Okay, so he liked to fight before that happened.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
after the horse kicked him, I don't think he ever fought again. I mean,
Oh. Didn't he?
Huh?
Is he not the one that killed the guy with the shovel?
Mhm.
Okay. That's a little bit of fighting.
Well, I think,
But he wasn't going out.
yeah,
Yes, I can.
my dad said he didn't mean to hit him that hard.
I believe it.
I can't get that stupid doctor's office anybody to answer me long enough for me to tell them to take the EKG and send it this time. They haven't got it. It's in my records and it's for them.
This
and
one
they
helps
haven't-
more than
No
that
reason to
one.
send it anywhere. It's just really.
This is your only choice.
Yeah, put it up here.
It's gonna be me driving to that office in the morning and physically getting that
I
EKG.
love
No, we can get that later.
Isla,
Which
put
is
it on
fine.
here.
But he needs it
Put it there.
before Monday.
On his
you
finger?
know?
You want to put it on Granddaddy?
It's frustrating.
Are you hiding?
Well, we can get one in a little bit, but this is all I have right now.
What is wrong?
What's the matter, old man?
Laughing about your son. San Francisco. So he went over there with him. This is just a day or two after he got there. And they were walking on the street in San Francisco. Now you can imagine, he probably saw more people in an hour than he'd seen in his life. And somebody said something, and he said, well, there goes Jessie, I forgot what her name is. Right now, he saw a woman that he knew.
Oh my gosh.
And
Wow.
is that thing running?
It is now. It's running here and there. I think we.
Really? Wait, you're recording? You didn't tell us.
I thought setting up and pointing at you would be
I didn't
a
know
clue.
you could record video.
Well, you need to, he needs to give you that side where it's on YouTube where Daddy's talking about when I'm talking about it. He talks a little bit about that.
Tracy's getting antsy.
Big old blue.
Tracy's getting frustrated.
About his dad. You knew his dad got kicked in the head with by a horse.
I heard that story, yeah.
And went on to do other things, right?
Didn't die, is that what you meant?
I think he had a
Other stories.
colorful history, right? Because of that.
Well, it wasn't because of that.
Could have been.
No.
He had a brain injury,
I
right?
don't think so. I don't think it had anything to do with
Wow.
it. He liked to fight.
Okay, so he liked to fight before that happened.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
after the horse kicked him, I don't think he ever fought again. I mean, you know.
Oh. Didn't he?
Huh?
Is he not the one that killed the guy with the shovel?
Mhm.
Okay. That's a little bit of fighting.
Well, I think,
But he
Yeah,
wasn't going out.
yeah,
Yes, I can.
my dad said he didn't mean to hit him that hard.
I believe it.
I can't get that stupid doctor's office, anybody to answer me long enough for me to tell them to take the EKG and send it this time. They haven't got it. Because it's in my records and it's for them.
This
and
one
they
helps
haven't-
more than
No
the
reason
other
to
ones.
send it anywhere, it's just really,
This is your only
Yeah,
choice.
put it
right
on
now.
here.
it's gonna be me driving to that office in the morning and physically getting that
I
No,
EKG.
we can get that later.
Isla,
Which
put
is
it on
fine.
here.
But he needs it
Put it there.
before Monday.
On his
you
finger?
know?
You want to put it on Granddaddy?
It's frustrating.
Are you hiding?
Well, we can get one in a little bit, but this is all I have right now.
What is wrong?
What's the matter, man?
Laughing about your son.